Natalie Wood's life reads like a Hollywood script, written with breathtaking beauty and unbearable sadness woven together. To millions, she was luminous, graceful, and emotionally transparent on screen. A star who seemed to feel everything deeply and invite audiences to feel alongside her. Yet behind the camera lived a woman shaped by fear, silence, and wounds she never had the space to heal. Her death in 1981 did not arrive out of nowhere. It was the final moment in a lifetime spent walking a narrow line between success and terror, love and control, visibility and isolation. As years passed, the explanation of her death as a simple accident began to feel insufficient, even dishonest. Their unanswered questions forced the public to look backward, not just at her final night, but at the patterns that defined her entire existence. To understand why Natalie Wood's story still unsettles us, we must follow her journey from childhood to stardom, from love to fear, and from brilliance into darkness. A childhood shaped by control and expectation. Natalie Wood never experienced a childhood that allowed her to simply exist. Born into a family struggling to survive, she became her mother's greatest ambition, an emotional investment. From the earliest years, her life was dictated by auditions, rehearsals, and studio demands. Childhood play was replaced by discipline, performance, and the expectation of perfection. Mistakes were not learning experiences, but threats to her value. Her mother believed success justified sacrifice, and Natalie absorbed the idea that love had to be earned through achievement. Her father, though kind, lacked the strength to intervene, leaving Natalie without a true refuge. This environment taught her obedience before self-expression and silence before honesty. She learned to anticipate adult needs and suppress her own emotions. While this conditioning made her exceptionally professional and reliable, it also created deep anxiety and self-doubt. By the time audiences saw a confident child star, Natalie had already learned that survival meant compliance, and that her worth depended entirely on how well she performed for others. The water incident that left a permanent scar, one moment from Natalie's childhood, would shape her fears for the rest of her life. During a film shoot involving a water scene, a stunt went wrong, throwing her into a rushing stream. She panicked, unable to free herself, believing she was about to die. While cameras kept rolling, help came too slowly. Even more damaging was the reported response of her mother, who prioritized the shot over her daughter's safety. That moment burned itself into Natalie's psyche. Water became synonymous with helplessness and terror. From then on, she avoided swimming, feared boats at night, and carried an intense dread of drowning. This was not a mild fear, but a deeply rooted trauma acknowledged by friends and family throughout her life. The irony that she would later die in water made this incident impossible to ignore. It transformed what could have been dismissed as an unfortunate accident into a symbolic thread running through her entire story, one that would later cast doubt on the official explanation of her death. Growing up, famous and emotionally alone, Natalie's rise to fame happened quickly and publicly. Her performance in Miracle on 34th Street made her a national treasure and placed her firmly in Hollywood's grip. Studios capitalized on her image, pushing her into continuous work while audiences watched her mature on screen. To the public, she appeared charmed and protected. In reality, fame amplified her isolation. She was expected to be grateful, agreeable, and eternally composed. As she entered adolescence, the industry offered little guidance and even less protection. Boundaries were blurred, and obedience was mistaken for consent. Natalie learned that resistance could cost her opportunities. Though her talent deepened and her career flourished, her emotional foundation remained fragile. Success brought validation, but not security. She was admired, but rarely understood. Carrying childhood trauma into an industry that rewarded silence, Natalie became increasingly disconnected from her own needs. By adulthood, she was celebrated everywhere, yet emotionally stranded, unsure of who she was beyond the roles she played. Exploitation and the burden of silence. Among the most painful chapters of Natalie Wood's life were the ones she was forced to keep hidden. As a teenager, she was reportedly sexually assaulted by a powerful figure within Hollywood, an experience that shattered her trust and sense of safety. Bound by fear, career pressure, and her mother's insistence on silence, she never sought justice publicly. The industry's culture of protection ensured that the truth stayed buried. This silence became a lifelong weight. It distorted her relationships, intensifying her fear of control while deepening her desire for protection. Natalie learned that telling the truth could destroy her career, while silence allowed her to survive professionally. The cost was emotional devastation. She carried the trauma into adulthood, influencing her choices, her self-worth, and her volatility. Hollywood continued to celebrate her beauty and talent, never acknowledging the harm inflicted behind closed doors. That enforced silence became a defining force in her life, shaping how she endured pain and how the world failed to protect her. Using acting as emotional survival. As Natalie matured, her performances became more emotionally intense and revealing. Films like Rebel Without a Cause, Splendor in the Grass, and West Side Story showcased a vulnerability that felt painfully authentic. Audiences sensed that her emotions were real, not manufactured. Directors praised her depth, often unaware that she was drawing from personal trauma. Acting became both refuge and exposure. Through her roles, Natalie could express feelings she was never allowed to voice in real life. Yet, each performance demanded that she reopen wounds she had never healed. While her career reached extraordinary heights, her private life unraveled. Success did not bring peace, only deeper exhaustion. Natalie's gift was her emotional honesty, but that gift came at a heavy cost. She gave pieces of herself to every role, slowly depleting her emotional reserves. The same sensitivity that made her unforgettable on screen left her vulnerable off it, struggling to separate her art from her pain. Love as refuge and repetition. Natalie's romantic relationships mirrored the emotional conflict within her. Her first marriage to Robert Wagner appeared glamorous, yet it was marked by jealousy, insecurity, and imbalance. Natalie loved intensely, but feared abandonment, especially as her career surpassed her husband's. Their divorce left her unsteady and searching for identity. The relationships that followed were often passionate but short-lived, driven by emotional need rather than stability. She sought safety, but repeatedly encountered betrayal or control. Marriage to Richard Gregson briefly offered calm, especially after the birth of her daughter, but infidelity shattered that sense of security. Each heartbreak reinforced her belief that love was fragile and conditional. Natalie wanted closeness, yet feared being trapped. This contradiction pulled her into familiar patterns, including a return to Wagner. Her love life became a cycle of hope and disappointment, reflecting a woman desperate for connection but unable to escape the emotional scars of her past. Returning to the past and living on edge. When Natalie remarried Robert Wagner, many saw it as a romantic reconciliation. For Natalie, it may have felt like returning to something familiar, even if it was flawed. With 2 children and a quieter public life, she tried to build stability. But the second marriage carried unresolved tensions. Wagner's jealousy reportedly intensified, especially regarding her work and male co-stars. Alcohol and insecurity fueled arguments. Friends and family recalled Natalie expressing fatigue and hinting she might leave again. The romance of youth was gone, replaced by emotional strain and unspoken resentment. Natalie appeared increasingly anxious, torn between her role as a mother and her need for freedom. The sense of entrapment grew quietly but steadily. This emotional landscape is essential to understanding her final days. The weekend that ended her life did not occur in isolation, but within a marriage already under immense pressure. The final night at Catalina. The trip aboard the yacht was meant to offer rest, but instead it magnified existing tensions. Alcohol flowed freely, inhibitions fell away, and jealousy surfaced openly. Witnesses later described arguments and a charged atmosphere. Natalie appeared distressed, while Wagner grew increasingly angry. At some point during the night, Natalie vanished. What followed was a delayed response that immediately raised questions. Hours passed before authorities were notified. The claim that Natalie left alone in a dinghy conflicted sharply with her lifelong fear of water. When her body was found, the details were troubling. She was inadequately dressed, and the dinghy appeared oddly undisturbed. Nearby boaters reported hearing screams for help, accounts dismissed at the time. What should have prompted urgent investigation was quickly labelled an accident. In that decision, crucial questions were submerged, allowing the truth to drift further from reach. Reopened evidence and unanswered truths. Decades later, the case was reopened, and the narrative began to unravel. New forensic analysis suggested injuries occurred before Natalie entered the water. Bruises and broken fingernails pointed to a possible struggle. Witness testimonies contradicted early statements, and the yacht's captain admitted he had lied under pressure. Authorities eventually named Robert Wagner a person of interest, though no charges were filed. Natalie's sister, Lana, became a relentless advocate, insisting her sister would never have entered the water voluntarily. The revised cause of death acknowledged drowning alongside undetermined factors, an implicit admission that the truth remained incomplete. Natalie Wood's legacy now exists in two intertwined forms: a remarkable body of work and a death that refuses resolution. Her story reminds us how power, fear, and silence can shape outcomes, and how some truths resist being buried, no matter how much time passes.